Hey guys, it's Parker, your go-to source for all things Destiny 2 PvP. Today, we're deep diving into the not-so-talked-about world of exotic auto rifles. As an auto rifle enjoyer, I'll give you my honest opinion on how I feel these auto rifles perform in a 6v6 setting and a 3v3 competitive setting. Before we jump in, if you're new here, hi, I'm Parker. I upload 3 times a week. If you like the video and subscribe. It's free. And I really appreciate it. Also, let me know in the comments which exotic auto rifle is your personal favorite for PvP, and what other weapon types would you like to see this style video on in the future. Without further ado, let the exotic showcase begin. So there are 9 exotic auto rifles to go over. They're not going to be in any particular order, just kind of how they fall in my inventory. In the kinetic slot, there's Quicksilver Storm, Necrochasm, Sweet Business, Suros Regime, Monte Carlo, and the Cerberus +1. In the energy slot, there's the Tommy's Matchbook, Centrifuse, and Hardlight. As you can see on some of them, I have a good little bit of kills. I am really an auto rifle player. I really like the Rufus Fury a ton. We're not going to talk about it today because it's legendary, but a lot of these weapons I have a few hundred kills on. The Centrifuse and the Necrochasm I have more than a few hundred kills on. So I am pretty opinionated when it comes to auto rifles. I feel like they're very good. We're going to talk about each auto rifle for about 30 seconds to a minute. Because it's already equipped, we'll start with the Quicksilver Storm. It's a very unique auto rifle in the fact that landing multiple hits turns your next shot into a homing micro rocket. Now this isn't something you have to prep or shoot, it just automatically shoots when you're doing sustained fire. It's really effective when you're in PvP gunfights, and it does pick up some kills for you. The special thing about this weapon is if you hit enough damage, you can switch it into a grenade launcher. Now the grenade launcher doesn't seem to be too effective in PvP, it does average damage. You're really going to find a lot of benefits for PvP from the rocket tracers. I would say Quicksilver is fairly fun in 6v6s and somewhat competitive in a 3v3. I think it has so much stability that you can kind of get away with using 3v3. I would consider it more of a fun option for 6v6. Next, we're going to be talking about Necrochasm. The Necrochasm is acquired from doing the Crota's End raid. If you get 20 oversouls from completing the raid, you'll unlock this weapon. The Necrochasm has the Cursebringer trait, which makes precision final blows trigger a Curse Thrall explosion. Final blows with this refills the mag. Mix this with Desperation. If you get any type of final blow or a final blow with the Curse Thrall explosion, you get bonus fire rate, stability, and aim assist. This makes this thing a pub stomping machine. Now, I wouldn't say it's too good in competitive because you have to get that first kill to be able to make this thing a killing machine, and the first kill isn't so accessible because it only has 39 range. Hand cannons are going to be destroying you in competitive PvP. I would say this is very strong in a 6v6 game mode, not so strong in a 3v3. Next, we're going to be talking about Sweet Business. This gun's been around forever. It's basically a Gatling gun. It works best on Titan while using War Rig. It constantly refills the magazine. They just added an explosive shot, so every time you shoot 20 bullets, an explosive shot comes out. That's real good for clearing barricades, shooting around corners. This weapon's also incredible shooting through flinch. You're going to be pre-shot a lot. It sets you up for a lot of vulnerability. Bows or anything from kind of a long range can pick you off very easily. People are going to hear where you're at all times. With that being said, it has one of the fastest TTKs in the game while fully spun up, which makes it an extremely competitive weapon in the right hands. I would rate this thing as meh for the average player. If you get real good with it, it can definitely be a strong pick for competitive or 6v6. If you have not used this thing, I think it's fun and unique enough that you should probably give it a chance. Now we're going to talk about the Suros Regime. This is an extremely strong 600 round per minute auto rifle that actually has 2 different traits that you can swap around. It has spinning up, which basically does the same thing as the Sweet Business, where sustained fire automatically increases the fire rate. And then it also has the dual speed receiver. I think spinning up is a much better option, but it's really personal preference. The trait for this weapon is that the bottom half of the mag does bonus damage and has a chance to return health on kills. It is really noticeable how fast the TTK is on the bottom of the magazine. So a lot of the time is when I reload, I'll empty half the magazine and just try to pick up 1 kill with that half mag. I would say this gun is pretty strong and competitive. You don't see auto rifles a whole lot in trials or the competitive playlist. Guns like Quicksilver and Suros definitely have the means to be competitive. They're just not going to be as good as hand cannons. Next, we're going to be talking about Monte Carlo. This is definitely one of the auto rifles that is more PvE focused. I'm not going to lie, I thought the Monte Carlo was a submachine gun when I started this video. Both the traits for the Monte Carlo really feed into getting melee kills on PvE enemies and then doing a big PvE melee damage hit. I've only seen it activated in PvP when somebody's really force feeding it. I would say this weapon is extremely weak in PvP. It plays like a submachine gun, but it is not as good as all the legendary submachine gun options. I think this is the weakest auto rifle in PvP. You're better off using any other option I talk about today. And the last, but certainly not least auto rifle for the kinetic slot is going to be the Cerberus +1. Now, this is an auto rifle that, if you haven't looked at it, has 3 barrels, which is extremely funny. Now, this gun actually works more like a shotgun than an auto rifle. I believe it shoots out 4 shots at a time. This gun is extremely good at clearing bubbles. This is one of the weapons that's going to have an extremely weird rating, because it is extremely strong in a niche scenario where you're not trying to kill the opponent, you're trying to kill their bubble or their well. And that's where this thing shines, is taking out wells, taking out bubbles. It's going to be able to put a lot of shots downrange real fast. Now, this thing is not very good at actually killing people straight up, so that's why 6v6 this wouldn't be very good. When you're at around 9 of trials and they have a bubble, throw this thing on, take out the bubble real quick, and they won't know what to do. So for that, I rank it really high in competitive and real low in 6v6s. Well, that's going to do it for the kinetic slot. Now we're going to take a look at the energy weapons, starting with the Tommy's Matchbook. This is an exotic auto rifle, of course it is, they're all exotic auto rifles, where sustained fire with this weapon overheats it, increasing damage. You are going to ignite yourself, but the catalyst allows you to heal quicker and also scorch targets while it's wound up. This also has a trait that if you're not aiming down sights, it does less damage to yourself. This weapon is super cool because it keeps a perfect accuracy pattern while hip firing. So if you don't aim in, it shoots in a straight line, which is extremely cool. It's based off a real-life Tommy gun, which was always hip-fired in real life, so they had to pay that gun homage some way, and that's how they did it. I think the Tommy's Matchbook's pretty mid in 6v6, and I would probably say it's pretty weak in 3v3. Hurting yourself in a 3v3, giving them any extra damage is going to set you up for a 2-shot if they're using something like an Igneous or a sniper rifle. Now we're going to take a look at the Centrifuse. Is something that's near and dear to my heart. This synergizes with arc subclasses very well. Sprinting gradually reloads this weapon, and sprinting, sliding, and firing temporarily gives you charge, increasing range, reload speed, and final blows creates an explosion. Now, you'll see it maybe a couple of times in the gameplay I show, but once you get a headshot kill and it's fully charged, it's going to do an electric explosion. A lot of the time, it's setting up a double kill, triple kill. It blinds enemies that it hits, making them pretty useless. I always ran it in 6v6s, not a lot of trials, but when it first did come out, a lot of people were using it in trials, saying it was really good for clearing people that were standing on top of each other. I never got that. I thought it was much better in 6v6s. I enjoyed it a lot more in 6v6s, so I'm going to say it's pretty strong in 6v6s. And not so strong and competitive. And last, but certainly not least in the energy column, is the hard light. The hard light's been around forever. The hard light can be any of the 3 elements, which is really cool. It can be solar, arc, or void. In solar mode, the reload speed and aerial effectiveness is better. In arc mode, the handling and range is better. And in void mode, stability and aim assist is better. I usually leave it in void because stability and aim assist are the biggest things for me. If I had a second, I would go with arc because range really helps out. It only has 40 range. Rounds fired from this weapon have reduced damage fall off, over penetrate targets, they ricochet off hard surfaces. Now, I had a funny encounter the other week where I had a teammate on my team who was kind of selling in trials, but, you know, every blind squirrel finds their nut. He was shooting a wall, and it ended up killing one of the last opponents and clutched around for us. So I have a deep appreciation for the hard light. When this game first came out, hard light was absolutely the meta. Everyone was running it. Everyone was shooting off of walls all times. I'll always remember it. So I rank this thing pretty high in competitive just because of the memories of that. Shooting off walls is always strong, especially in a zone-based trials like we've had. Not a lot of people do it, but I think it is really strong. And 6v6 wise, it's a 600 round per minute auto rifle. You can't really go wrong. Let's get to it on my exotic auto rifle video. If you liked the video, it would mean the world to me if you liked and subscribed. And if I missed anything about any of the exotic auto rifles, please leave a comment down below. I want to wish everyone a happy holidays and a great weekend. Hope you're all doing well. Bye-bye.